What is up, everybody? This is episode 2 of the Football Never Ends podcast. Today it's going to be a little bit different than normal. I skipped last 2 weeks due to, I know I did episode 1 and then I skipped 2 weeks. Just what happened. I got sick the week before and then the week last week, or I guess at this point, 2 weeks ago, I went on a trip to Albuquerque, Arizona, California, and then back home. But that doesn't really matter, I guess, too much. The main thing I want to talk about today is going to be some of the Aaron Rodgers stuff, some of the Tom Brady stuff, and the draft. This show's going to be mostly about the draft. So if you don't care about the draft, don't watch it. It was a fun one. A little sneak peek. I love the Patriots picks. I'm excited for the series to see what happens. So let's go. All right, so there was a snippet this week or last week, I think it was, about how Tom Brady thinks 2 Super Bowls is worth undefeated, which I would actually agree with him. It's really, you're only losing 1 Super Bowl, since if you went undefeated, you would have had one. But I think a lot of people would think, I mean, he has 7 Super Bowls, so of course, I mean, I don't know. I would get rid of one of them for undefeated one game. 3 points. So that was very interesting. But the other thing about Tom Brady recently was about how he was saying how, like, he doesn't think they should have OTAs or go as hard as in OTAs and all this stuff, which is kind of funny because just last year he was in trouble like every day, if not like it was like every week, if not every day, he was getting in trouble, or some headline saying how he was practicing with his teammates or breaking into people's houses and all this stuff. So it's kind of weird on how now he's like, oh, we shouldn't be doing OTAs. So it's kind of, that part kind of bugs me, just because he's already made it. He doesn't need OTAs anymore. While the younger guys and rookies and all that, they want to go to OTAs because that's where they can have film, and then teams will pick them up if their team that they get drafted by or picked up by don't want them anymore. So stuff like that always bugs me with Brady. But I still love him. He's still my favorite player, as you can tell. But what do you think about would you give up 2 Super Bowls for undefeated streak? It's really 1 Super Bowl, but you get the point. What do you get? Like, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even care which Super Bowl they give up. If you're just considering the Patriots Super Bowls only, pick any 2. I don't really care. An undefeated streak, I think, would be really cool, especially since now they're playing 17 games in the season, and you can never go 19-0 again. No one went 19-0, and they were the closest. Another thing that happened the other day was Juwan James. He had a season-ending Achilles injury, and a lot of players throughout the league was like tweeting stuff about how like he should still get paid and all this stuff, which just boggles my mind how bad the NFLPA CBA is. If you like, that has to be something that to take into consideration whenever you're negotiating. It seems like the players only wanted weed and they would give up everything for it, which is just really silly. So he has the potential of losing 10 to $20 million just because he tore his Achilles. And technically the Broncos don't have to pay him, which really sucks. And I bet you the Broncos do end up paying him just for goodwill, just because they don't want the players to attack them or whatever. But if they don't, I can't really fault them for it. It's the players' fault in the first place. It kind of sucks because normally I do side with the players, just because it seems kind of weird to side with billionaires over millionaires, even though neither of them are really all that relatable. I honestly, I don't really care what happens in this situation. The other thing before we get to a long draft talk would be Aaron Rodgers possibly out of the Green Bay. He's there's been reports, it seems like every single day, about different things and going back and forth. Some of it doesn't, honestly, it doesn't really seem like much of it's verified, but it seems like it's a true thing. Like there is some uneasy in the Packers organization, but I think in the end Packers will re-sign him. There was a report out today. I'm filming this on Tuesday, the 11th. There was a report out today saying how they offered him a contract bigger than Mahomes, and nothing else has been said about it. I don't. I feel like they'll do a lot to keep him. I mean, even firing the GM wouldn't be wouldn't be crazy. Aaron Rodgers still has five-ish good years to play in the NFL. Might as well take it. They're close to a Super Bowl if they would make better moves, not keep on drafting Aaron Rodgers replacements, which is kind of silly. There's been some things like AJ Hawk from the Pat McAfee show has said that he believes the relationship's too gone. John Kuhn, I think he was a fullback, he said the relationship can be fixed. So it kind of goes up in there. I know the Packers head coach, I forgot his name off the top of my head. He was saying how he's disappointed in the situation. It's honestly, it seems like it's Aaron Rodgers versus a GM. Everyone else is just kind of there. Which, to me, if it is that, I mean, no one really knows like the in and outs of it, what's actually going on. But if that is the issue, fire the GM. You can find a new GM. The GM, it's not like the GM has made any like impressive moves or anything. But keeping Aaron Rodgers, that seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, no big deal at all. But that's just a few little snippets. Today's Tuesday 11th. The schedule comes out tomorrow, and I am like super excited to see the schedule, which I'm super excited to see the schedule. I think the Patriots, there's Scott Zolak, he said that the Patriots are most likely be playing the Bills week 1, which I think is a great matchup for the Bills because it's going to take a few weeks for the Patriots to get in the swing of things and for Mac Jones to start the season, but we'll go on that here in a little bit. But let's talk about some draft stuff. I'm not going to go over every single player, I'm going to go over every single team and then at least one player per team on a player that I like, because everyone drafted a player I like. So we are going to start things off with the Arizona Cardinals because they start with an A, Arizona. So that's why we're going to start it. With their first pick, it's 16th overall. They drafted Zaven Collins from Tulsa. He's a linebacker, really fast. I'm really high on him. The only reason I can't say I wish the Patriots drafted him just because they drafted Mac Jones and they need a quarterback more than a linebacker. He's going to be a great player. Pretty excited about him. Other than that, I'm not too stoked on any of their other draft picks. I'm not saying they're not good players or anything. They're not notable to me. Next up would be Atlanta Falcons. I guessed this pick months before I guessed this pick. With the 4th overall pick, they drafted Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. He is probably the best player in the draft, counting quarterbacks. He's generational talent. He's incredible. I mean, he's more of a receiver than he is a blocker, but he can still block. I don't know why a lot of people are saying he can't block and this stuff, but I called this months ago, so I wasn't really shocked by it. I was just happy that I got it right, because out of the top 10, I got, I think, 6 right, which isn't all that great because you should be able to get it pretty easy. Other than that, I mean, they drafted the safety Richie Grant early in the second, but not too stoked on any of that. Baltimore Ravens finally filled one of their needs. They drafted Rashad Bateman, number 27 overall, wide receiver out of Minnesota. Now he is they have a big body wide receiver. Lamar Jackson needs a receiving threat, so I'm pretty happy with that pick. I'm going to mess up this name. Just fair warning. It's Odafe Owe, out of the 31st pick it was an outside linebacker out of Penn State. I don't know too much about him. I read a little bit about him, but don't know much about him. But those are two good picks. They got that 31st pick because they traded Orlando Brown to the Chiefs, which that was an interesting trade. I wouldn't have personally done it, but I'm also not a GM, so it doesn't matter. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills. I'm not a huge fan of this. I thought they needed a running back, which I guess there weren't any, like, running back wise. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't have a choice of Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, so it makes sense. But they drafted Gregory something. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. Miami defensive end with a 30th pick. I don't love this pick. I mean, I know it's a need for them. The defense has fallen off a little bit, but like I said, I wanted them to draft a running back because a running back with Josh Allen and that offense would just be scary. Now the offense is still going to be good. Defense might be a little bit better, but I just thought a running back would be a good pick for them. Carolina Panthers had an 8th overall pick. They drafted J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is probably the best corner in the draft. Makes sense why they drafted him. Other than that, they did draft Chuba Hubbard, which, since I live in Oklahoma, I know who he is. Oklahoma State running back. He had a rough season this season, but he is a fast running back, and if there's holes, he will hit them. His vision's not the greatest, so that might take a little bit of work, but I think he will be worth the pick. And with pick 204, they drafted Shi Smith, SHI, South Carolina wide receiver. They need a good 3-4 wide receiver, so I like that pick. Otherwise, I don't really know many of these people's names. I didn't follow college football all that much the last couple years. One of my favorite drafts out of a team this year would be the Chicago Bears. With the 11th overall pick, they drafted Justin Fields, which I think is the second best quarterback in this draft. With the 39th pick, they drafted Oklahoma State offensive tackle, Tevin Jenkins. He's a really good offensive tackle. Pretty excited about that. Like I said, I'm from Oklahoma. I live in Oklahoma, so I kind of watched him a little bit. They drafted offensive tackle, running back, wide receiver, corner, defensive tackle. Those the first two picks just won me over. I love those two picks because I really wanted the Patriots to draft Justin Fields, and then whenever the Chicago Bears traded up for him, I was just like, I was upset. Then we have the Cincinnati Bengals. This is probably, I figured they would draft him. I didn't think they should, but they drafted Jamar Chase with the 5th overall pick, LSU wide receiver. He is the best wide receiver in the draft. They probably should have went offensive tackle to help out Burrow, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver, so it makes sense, and he's friends with Joe, so win-win, I guess. They did draft Captain America, and with pick 202, they could draft Chris Evans, Michigan running back. I only say that just because his name's Chris Evans. That's the only thing I care about. Oh, they drafted the kicker in the 4th or 5th, Evan McPherson, Georgia, Florida kicker. He was really good in college, so I think that's a good pick. Next up, we have Cleveland Browns. Not a huge fan of their draft. It's very good for what they needed. They've had a extremely strong offseason. They drafted Greg Newsome, the 2nd Northwestern cornerback, with the 26th pick. The team, I mean, honestly, the Bills might be outside of the Patriots, I think the Bills are the biggest improvement. They didn't need to improve much, but they made a killer offseason. It's honestly incredible. If they don't win that division, I'll be very shocked. Dallas Cowboys, another good draft. They went completely outside of what I thought they would. I thought they were going to go offense first pick, but with a number 12 overall pick, they drafted Micah Parsons, Penn State's linebacker. He's a sideline to sideline, like kind of linebacker. He probably replaces Leighton Vander Esch since he's always hurt. Sean Lee retired. They needed help. They also got Jabril Cox out of LSU in the 4th, which is a steal of the draft. It's one of the best steals of the draft, easily. One thing, they drafted a lot of players that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not even like Osa Odigizuma Zua. No, Osa Odigizuma Zua. Anyways, I'll quit making a fool out of myself. Denver Broncos with the 9th overall pick. Everyone thought they were going to go quarterback, but they went corner/safety with Patrick Surtain. Alabama. I say he's listed as a corner, but he's most likely will be playing safety. The rest of the draft was okay, was good for them, but Javonte Williams, he is a good running back. Pretty excited about that. So otherwise, it's whatever. Detroit Lions, they've had a sneaky good offseason, and also they drafted Seal, Peniel, offensive tackle, Oregon, with a 7th overall pick. That's who I thought the Cincinnati Bengals should have picked, but they didn't. The Lions got them. The Lions are sneakily having one of the. They have a top 5, top 3 offensive line. The offensive line is really good and pretty young. Like, I think the oldest one is 25 or 26, which is crazy for an offensive line. The offensive line is going to be great. Jared Goff is going to love it, especially coming from the Rams, which they didn't have a bad offensive line, but let's be real, wasn't all that great. Next, we have Green Bay Packers. They drafted with a 29th pick, which I like this pick. Eric Stokes from Georgia, corner. He's a really fast corner, and I think they need more of that and less of Jordan Love kind of picks. The offense is good with Aaron Rodgers. He can make players look good. They have weapons, so if they put more on the defense, especially getting burnt by Scotty Miller in the end of the second quarter, end of the first half versus the Bucs in the playoffs, Eric Stokes wouldn't allow that. Houston Texans. Oh my goodness. Houston Texans. They're having a rough time. Deshaun Watson might settle all of his lawsuits, but still, with a 67th overall pick, which is the beginning of a 3rd round, they drafted Davis Mills, Stanford quarterback. The rest of the draft kind of sucks too. It's Texans have had a rough time. The Indianapolis Colts drafted Kwity Paye. I love his name. I'm just going to watch him just because of his name. With the 21st overall pick, Michigan defensive end. He's good. What more do you want? They did drafted Sam Ehlinger, the 218th pick. I don't think he'll be a good quarterback in the NFL. He'll probably be a backup for a little bit if he even makes the team. I don't think he's a good quarterback, and there's no reason. He's like a budget version of Tim Tebow. He can throw a little bit better, but not all that incredible. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Their draft is so-so. I'm not sure if I like it or not. Of course, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall pick, Clemson quarterback. Everyone knew he was going to go there. That's not a big deal. I don't like the 2nd pick. Travis Etienne, 25th pick, Clemson running back. I understand getting your quarterback a weapon that he's familiar with. Don't go running back in the first. I know I'd said the different on the Buffalo Bills, but they're also picking 30th, and their team is good already. The Jaguars have a lot of holes. I don't think you should go running back in first. Travis Etienne is a good running back. He's probably my second favorite running back in the draft. Najee Harris being first. Another pick that I like was Tyson Campbell out of Georgia, the corner, with a 33rd pick. I really like that move. They drafted the offensive line. Oh, it's okay. The rest of the draft is okay. But those first 3 picks, I give them 2 or 3 I love. The one, questionable, I understand it. Not terribly mad about it. He probably would have went around there anyways. But I personally would never go running back in the first, but just because I think you can get something comparative to him, not as good, of course, but in the second or third. Kansas City Chiefs drafted, since they traded their first to the Ravens, the first pick was a 58th overall and they drafted Missouri linebacker Nick Bolton. I like him. I like their second pick even more. Creed Humphreys, Oklahoma center. He's an extremely underrated center, and I think the Chiefs offensive line went from Patrick Mahomes like going to a nursing home to a top 5 offensive line in the league just during the offseason. It's been incredible for them. Chiefs fans should be happy. They're probably on their way for another Super Bowl chance. Not saying they're going to win it, but I think they'll be in it. Vegas, a lot of people crushing their first pick, but the Las Vegas Raiders picked Alex Leatherwood, 17th overall, Alabama offensive tackle. Alabama was killing it in the draft. They had so many drafted players. It was bonkers. But, I mean, sure. They got rid of half their line anyways. Might as well draft one. Los Angeles Chargers, which is still weird to say for some reason, with their 13th overall pick, they drafted the Northwestern offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. Great pick for them. They need help on the offensive line anyways. Unlike the Bengals, they want to help their young quarterback. They also drafted Asante Samuel Jr. with a 47th pick out of Florida State corner. I like this Asante Samuel, besides him dropping a pick in the 2007 Super Bowl, or the 2007 season, Patriots undefeated season. If you would have picked it off, Patriots would have went undefeated, and whatever. Los Angeles Rams, they drafted Tutu Atwell. He's just a fast wide receiver in the second round. Yeah, he's just a fast wide receiver, that's all. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Miami Dolphins drafted Alabama wide receiver with a 6th overall, Jalen Waddle. He's like a Tyreek Hill mini-me. He's going to be good. Honestly, the Miami Dolphins killed this draft. With the 18th overall pick, they drafted Jalen Phillips, the Miami edge rusher. He's probably the best, if not the second best defensive player in the whole draft. Maybe you might be able to... He's easily top 5 defensive player in the draft. I really love their draft. If you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you have to be excited for this opportunity of a Patriots team that's depleted. Bills, I mean, they're probably with the Bills. Depends on how Tua plays, and the Jets suck. The Vikings with the 23rd pick, Virginia Tech offensive tackle Christian Duracell. Don't love this one. I don't think Duracell is a great player, but they need offensive help anyway, so sure. They drafted Kellen Mond. Don't love that one either. I just don't. You have Kirk Cousins for a while. Why draft Kellen Mond unless you think he's going to be like his replacement, which I don't think that he is. Next up, you have New England Patriots, my favorite team. I love this pick. All of them, really. But with the 15th overall pick, they picked Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. Everyone kind of slated him going to the Patriots anyways. Kind of like he looked like Tom Brady, like his not being as that mobile. I mean, being accurate, stuff like that. The big question mark with him is he played with a stacked Alabama team. Is he actually good, or is he just playing with elite players? Everyone on that offense was like an NFL player. So that's going to be interesting to find out. I think he is really good. Watching film on him, he is like in the pocket. It's incredible how he can move. He's very accurate with the ball, especially a deep pass. And he's not scared to throw a pass with a defender like coming to his face. So I love that. With a 38th overall pick, they picked Christian Barmore. Still of the draft. I think this is a still of the draft. He should have went in the middle to mid end of the first round. The Alabama defense tackle, he's going to be great for that defense. He'll probably be like a Vince Wilfork kind of player. Not as good, not a Hall of Famer, but well, he could be, but that's not what I predict. With a 96th, they picked Oklahoma defensive end Ronnie Perkins, probably Oklahoma's best defensive end in the last 5 years. They need help with the defense. I'm glad they picked that. With a 120th in the 4th round, they drafted Oklahoma running back. I'm not going to say his first name, but Stevenson. He's like a Maurice Jones-Drew kind of type. I mean, he's kind of quick with his feet, but he's powerful. Really love this. With a 177, Michigan linebacker, they picked Cameron McGrone. Now, he is going to be on IR, most likely, and miss this whole season, which is okay because the Patriots are stacked at linebacker, so I'm not upset about that. Then, with the last pick, with probably one of their biggest needs, they finally draft a wide receiver in the 7th, which, whatever. Trey Nixon, 242. The only reason I say that one is just because they probably should have went wide receiver earlier, but I do love their first 3 picks. First 4 picks, honestly, I love. Honestly, you could say the first 5 picks I love. And then Joshua Bledsoe and William Sherman, they're up in the air. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. They drafted Peyton Turner with a 28th overall Houston defensive end. He's not a showstopper, but he should help. Again, this is another move I don't really love. I know there was reports that they wanted J.C. Horn. Peyton Turner? I don't know. I don't love him. I do love Paulson Debo, the corner out of Stanford, with a 76th pick. We'll see. I'm friends with a lot of Saints. Well, I'm friends with a couple of Saints fans, and they love him. So, but they're also Saints fans. New York Giants. They moved back to with the Bears, so the Bears could move up and pick Justin Fields, and then the that is incorrect. Anyways, they drafted Kadarius Toney with the 20th overall Florida wide receiver. He was a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in the draft. I don't love this one either, just because he is a good player, but I don't love it because they did sign Galladay in the offseason. How many weapons do you need on the offense? Offensive line probably would have been better, or defense. New York Jets, I hate them. This is gonna be really quick. Number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson. They also moved up and drafted a guard. I don't know why they moved up for him. I mean, he's a good guard, but they don't need another guard in the first. One pick I do like that they got was Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Mississippi, with the 34th pick. Patriots should have moved up and got him, but they didn't have the opportunity. Philadelphia Eagles, they needed a lot more than a lot of people think. But with a 10th overall pick, they picked Alabama wide receiver Devontae Smith, the Heisman winner. He's a great wide receiver. I think he needs to gain 25 pounds. And I think, he needs to be 185. He's probably like 170-ish right now. If he can get to 185 and keep his speed and agility, still, he's going to be so good. He reminds me a lot of Robbie Anderson, which a lot of people are down on him just because he was with the Jets for so long. But he's a good player. Pittsburgh Steelers, with a first pick in the first round pick, they drafted Najee Harris. I love Najee Harris. Like I said, I don't like running backs in the first. I never have. I think the only thing that's good is you get them for 5 years and you can get rid of them, because they don't last much longer than that. The 49ers probably had the biggest splash in the draft, just because they traded up for North Dakota State quarterback with a 3rd overall pick. They drafted Trey Lance. So most likely Jimmy Garoppolo will probably play this year, and then next year Trey Lance will take over. That's kind of what I'm predicting. They say that they're going to use him a little bit like who's that Saints quarterback? Taysom Hill. Sure. Okay, do that. That seems a lot to pick for a gadget player. Seahawks, they didn't really have many picks, so because they traded their first for this, was it first for this year and next year, or last year and this year for Abram, or the safety with them, the Jets. His name is blanking from my head. Adams. Jamal Adams. There we go. I knew I'd get it eventually. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They drafted Kyle Trask in the second round, into the second round, but they still drafted him. At the first, they drafted the outside linebacker from Washington, Joe Tryon. Sure, I don't know him, so I can't really comment. The Tennessee Titans probably picked. The only reason I don't think he's the best corner is just because of his injury issues. But Virginia Tech cornerback at 22, they drafted Caleb Farley. He has back issues. He had a negative COVID test that kind of put, like, he couldn't have a draft party because of it. So that's been an interesting thing. He's had a really bad luck. Hopefully his back doesn't give him any more issues throughout the rest of his NFL career. But if he's healthy, that Titans defense got a lot better, especially at their weakest position with corners. The Washington football team, with the 19th overall, they drafted the Kentucky linebacker Jamin Davis. I don't know much about him, so I can't really comment. I am big on the Washington football team this offseason. I think they've made a lot of good moves, and I think they are a better team. And that's pretty much everyone. Pretty much my favorite picks would be that Barmore pick, Devontae Smith if he gains some weight, Xavier Collins. I guess the Kyle Pitts, so I'm just happy about that. I guessed it right. JC Horn's a great pick. Chuba Hubbard, I think, could be a good pick, and Justin Fields is probably my favorite pick of the draft, just because I think he's a really good player. I think that's exactly what the Chicago Bears needed, and that's what they've been missing for the last ever. I mean, they haven't had a good quarterback in forever, so that's pretty. It's a big move for them. I'm pretty excited to see how they play. The Patriots, I'm excited about how the Patriots drafted. I'm excited that all the moves they made in the offseason. I still don't think they make. I don't want to say if they don't. I think they make the playoffs. I don't think that they are a true contender yet. I think the Buffalo Bills have only gotten better, even though they haven't done too much, but they were already a good team. The Jets still, I think, are going to be bad this year. One thing that is funny about the Patriots is a lot of people are saying how bad Cameron Newton is, how he can't throw, how he's lost it, he looks injured, and all this stuff. And I would have to agree, because he looked really bad last year. Granted, the Patriots had no weapons, so it makes sense. But if Mac Jones is not starting by week 8 at the latest, I almost want to say it wasn't worth the pick, because if Mac Jones can't beat out a quarterback that can't throw 15 yards, I don't know what to tell you. That seems like a bad pick. Barmore's a great pick. Ronnie Perkins is a great pick. It's going to be interesting. It'll be exciting. But thanks for watching, and always have a good one.